Welcome back to ADHD Whiskey. My name is Matt, and today we are reviewing one of my top 5 bourbons of 2022. And if that wasn't a spoiler for you, then spoiler alert, I kinda like it. But before I pour this delicious bourbon into a glass, let me first tell you about today's video sponsor real fast. Today's video is brought to us by the first ever pre-alcohol probiotic drink. And if you're unfamiliar with our good friends over at ZBiotics, let me quickly familiarize you with them. The purpose of ZBiotics is to make you not feel like poo the day after drinking. All you gotta do is take a ZBiotics and pour it in your mouth and swallow it before you start drinking alcohol. Then you drink responsibly, get a good night's sleep, and you'll enjoy tomorrow. How exactly does ZBiotics work? Well, the smarter I try to sound, the dumber I absolutely look. So we're probably not going to go too deep into the science, but guess what? It's science. Parts of your body, like your liver, are typically responsible for breaking down the byproduct of alcohol. But when you drink ZBiotics, that process doesn't start in the liver. It starts before the liver. It starts in your tummy. So if you want to feel good the day after drinking, then click my link in the description below or scan this QR code on your screen. You'll go to zbiotics.com/ADHD. You'll use code ADHD at checkout and you'll save 15% off your first box. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this video, and thank you for having smart people working behind the scenes, making me feel so good the day after drinking. Now that we've talked about ZBiotics, let's talk about something that isn't as super scientific, but is also kind of super scientific, because how do you get something to taste like this? I don't know, but it probably has something to do with science. Today, we are tasting and scoring 2022 Four Roses Small Batch Limited Edition. It's barrel strength, it's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, and it's 109.14 proof. There were 15,600 bottles produced this year, and my bottle number is 15,320. So if you look at the numbers, I almost didn't get one again this year. This is the first time I ever came across a bottle of this in a wild, and did I pay a little bit over MSRP? Yeah, but just a little bit. Distinct, complex, balanced. This limited edition release is the perfect marriage of rich flavor and smooth, mellow finish you expect from Four Roses and master distiller Brent Elliott. Sediment from the barrel may be present in this non-chill filtered bourbon. America. Elliott. I'm not a doctor, so please forgive me if the order of my list I'm about to give you is the incorrect order, but I believe this was my number 3 bourbon of 2022 and my number 5 whiskey of the year. Before we get into the nose and palate, I do believe it is very important to make sure that it's extra dizzy before my nose or mouth touches it. Therefore, we give it just the best SJ we can give it, giving it a little bit of a spin. For the money I paid for it, you would expect that it gives me an SJ. Not in the world of bourbon. Nope. Bourbon taketh and bourbon taketh. Going for a nose of this Four Roses. Ooh. This smells like a Mexican candy. It's like a spicy Mexican candy on the nose. So like a cinnamon chocolate. Yeah, it's like a cinnamon hard candy mixed with like caramels and chocolate. A little bit of cherry, a little bit of that strawberry hard candy that you get at your great grandmother's house that I want so bad right now. Oh, I friggin' love that stuff. So bad. A little bit of a red Tootsie Pop. Like when you're almost at the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop, it kind of smells like cherry and Tootsie Roll at the same time. Going in for a taste of this 2022 Four Roses limited edition small batch. Down the hatch. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, that's better than I remember. Oh, wow. Jodi Arias Alibi, that's hard to believe. That is so good. Previous to this tasting, I really enjoyed it, but like a lot of whiskeys, the more air this thing got, the better it got. It just needed to air out a little bit, and like the funky bird's nest that I got on the palate before is kind of like flown away into the air, like a stiff breeze hit it, and it just whisked away. And all that were left are the delicious birds. The Mexican candy is still just blasting me in the nose. So good. The more I smell it, the more I'm loving it. When I first tasted this bourbon, I was getting like extreme amounts of oak, and I was like, good grief, that oak's no joke. But since it got some air, the oak is still there, but it's playing a bit more fair. In this bottle is a 20-year-old bourbon from the OBSV recipe, a 15-year-old OESK, a 14-year-old OESF, and a 14-year-old OESV. So that's 4 different recipes ranging from 14 to 20 years old. And you can tell the palate is oaky. The oak is still present, but like a present, it's a gift. And it's presenting that gift in a delicious, well interrogated, a well integrated oak flavor that's like melded perfectly well with cherry and strawberry. I'm gonna say this is my favorite tasting of this so far. Although I really enjoyed it in my previous tastings, this tasting it's swan song. If swan song means what I think it means. It's best performance. I don't think that's what swan song means. It's performing so well in my mouth. It's not very often that a tasting in front of a camera is my favorite tasting. Typically, I enjoy a pour off camera way more than I do on camera. It's really hard to enjoy a whiskey while I'm talking to a camera and like stumbling over words and stuff. But in this case, this was my most enjoyable pour out of the bottle, was the review. And that is good for the review, to be fair, to be super fair. This just cements its spot as a number 3 bourbon on my Bourbon of the Year list. It is so stinking good. I'm going to go ahead and say that Four Roses Limited Edition Small Batch 2022 receives a score from me tonight of 8.6. Four Roses Limited Edition Small Batch 2022. My first ever bottle of this, and hopefully I can get one next year and the year after that and the year after that. But that won't happen. So this will probably be my first and only Four Roses LE. Good job, Four Roses. Good job, Brent Elliott. That's going to do it for this review. That's going to do it for today. If you're not subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, I don't blame you, but go ahead and do that for me. Leave a comment below and tell me how big of a fat asshole I am for getting a bottle of it this year when you can't get one. Because I know that's going to be the case for the majority of you, and I'm super sorry. Super sorry. But if you want to leave a comment and don't want to be mean, you can tell me how nice I look in the color green. My name is Matt, this is ADHD Whiskey, and like I always say, keep your head in the clouds but your mind on traveling to Lynchburg, Tennessee to visit Jack Daniel's, because it is a beautiful place, a beautiful distillery. So cool, so cool. I definitely recommend the tour. I definitely recommend eating at Mary Bobo's. I definitely recommend the entire experience. Jack Daniel's is a really cool place. And speaking of places, it's a strange place to talk about Jack Daniel's considering I just reviewed Four Roses. But I've never been to Four Roses and I just got back from Jack Daniel's. Therefore, I'm probably going to talk about my experience visiting Jack Daniel's before I talk about my experience visiting Four Roses. It's just kind of the way things work. So, if you're a podcast listener, go ahead and subscribe to Jack Daniel's official podcast called Around the Barrel. look for my episode. It's going to be coming out soon. And if you're not a member of my Patreon, I suggest becoming one if you want your shot at my Jack Daniel's single barrel proof pick. I love you all. Thank you for watching. See you next time.